I married her to fulfill my brother's last wish, but then I fell in love. The air in the hospital room, usually sterile and cold, felt thick with unspoken words, with a desperate love that clung to fading life. Liam O'Connell, 32, a man whose life had always been meticulously planned, watched his younger brother, Sean, 28, struggle for each breath. Sean's eyes, once so full of mischief and vibrant life, now held a solemn plea. He clutched Liam's hand, weakly, and turned his gaze towards the woman sitting quietly in the corner, her face etched with a grief as profound as his own. Her name was Eleanor, Sean's fiancée, 27 years old, and utterly devastated. The unspoken plea. Sean's voice was a mere rasp, a whisper against the hum of medical machines. He couldn't form full sentences anymore, but his eyes, clear and direct, spoke volumes. He looked from Eleanor to Liam, then back again, a silent, desperate request passing between them. Liam knew. He understood the unspoken plea, the dying wish from his beloved brother. Sean wanted Eleanor taken care of. He wanted her safe, loved, protected. And in that moment, with the profound weight of impending loss, Liam knew there was only one way to truly honor that wish. The funeral was a blur of muted colors, hushed condolences, and the raw, piercing grief of Eleanor. She moved like a ghost, her usually bright eyes shadowed, her small frame seeming to shrink with each passing moment. Liam watched her, a profound ache in his own chest. He loved Sean fiercely, and the pain of his loss was a constant, dull throb. But seeing Eleanor's desolation, the complete unraveling of her world, added another layer to his sorrow. Weeks turned into a desolate month. Liam, a successful architect, found himself unable to focus on blueprints or designs. His thoughts were consumed by Sean's last, silent request. He visited Eleanor often, bringing her food, sitting with her in silence, offering the only comfort he knew. She lived in the small apartment they had shared, surrounded by Sean's belongings, each one a sharp reminder of what she had lost. Her parents, worried, had suggested she move back home, but Eleanor, with a quiet stubbornness, had refused. One rainy afternoon, as they sat in the quiet living room, the only sound the rhythmic drumming of rain against the windowpane, Liam finally spoke. He told her of Sean's last look, the unspoken plea. He spoke of his understanding, his unwavering commitment to fulfill it. And then, he made the offer. He asked her to marry him. Eleanor's head snapped up, her eyes wide with shock. A flicker of something unreadable crossed her face, confusion, perhaps disbelief, even a hint of offense. He quickly clarified, it wasn't a proposal born of romantic love, not in the traditional sense. It was a promise, a vow to his dying brother. He would provide for her, protect her, ensure she never faced the harshness of the world alone. It would be a marriage of companionship, of responsibility, of shared grief for Sean. He would give her stability, a home, a shield against the world's unkindness. Her parents, he explained, would be relieved. It would honor Sean's memory. She said nothing for a long time, her gaze fixed on the rain-streaked window. Liam waited, his heart a raw knot in his chest. He expected rejection, anger. But then, slowly, she nodded. A single tear traced a path down her cheek. It was not a tear of joy, but of exhausted acceptance. A marriage of circumstance. The wedding was a quiet affair, a stark contrast to the grand celebration Sean and Eleanor had planned. Only immediate family attended. There were no joyful cheers, no celebratory music, just the solemn vows spoken in hushed tones. Liam saw the pity in the eyes of some relatives, the confusion in others. He felt the weight of the promise he had made, a heavy cloak draped over his shoulders. Their life together began with an awkward silence. They moved into Liam's spacious apartment, a place that felt too large, too empty without Sean's boisterous presence. Eleanor, a librarian, returned to her work with a quiet diligence, retreating into the world of books. Liam immersed himself in his architectural projects, burying his emotions in blueprints and deadlines. They were polite, almost formal with each other. They shared meals in silence, their conversations limited to practical matters, bills, household chores, arrangements for family visits. There were no tender touches, no shared laughter, no intimate moments. It was a companionship built on a foundation of grief and duty. Liam watched her, always. He saw the lingering sadness in her eyes, the way she sometimes clutched a photo of Sean when she thought he wasn't looking. He saw her quiet strength, her resilience in the face of such profound loss. He admired her intelligence, her thoughtful insights when she did speak, her quiet passion for literature. He started noticing the small things, her habit of humming softly when she was engrossed in a book, the way she organized her collection of antique teacups, the faint scent of sandalwood that always clung to her. These were not the observations of a duty-bound guardian, but of someone paying closer attention, someone noticing, someone seeing her beyond the parameters of his promise. The slow unfolding of affection. The shift was imperceptible at first, like the slow creep of dawn. One evening, Liam found her struggling with a particularly heavy bookshelf. Without a word, he moved to help her, his strong hands easily lifting the cumbersome load. She looked up at him, a flicker of surprise, then a small, genuine smile touched her lips. It was the first time he had seen her smile, truly smile, since Sean's passing. The warmth of it was like a forgotten sunrise. Another time, she found him hunched over his desk, wrestling with a complex architectural problem. She quietly placed a cup of perfectly brewed chai beside him, its warmth a soothing presence. He looked at her, startled, and she simply offered a soft, understanding gaze. There was no need for words. He started anticipating her needs. He would leave her favorite newspaper by her teacup in the mornings, or pick up a new book he thought she might enjoy. She, in turn, began leaving him small, thoughtful notes, a reminder about a meeting, a suggestion for a quiet restaurant, a word of thanks for a small kindness. The formality between them began to thaw, replaced by a nascent comfort. Their conversation slowly expanded beyond practicalities. They discussed books, art, current events. Liam found himself drawn to her quiet wisdom, her perceptive observations. He would tell her about his work, the challenges and triumphs of his designs, and she would listen attentively, offering insights that surprised him with their clarity. He found himself looking forward to their evenings, to the quiet moments they shared, the space between them filled with something other than just grief. He realized he was spending more time at home, less at the office. He found excuses to linger in the living room while she read, just to be in her presence. He felt a quiet joy when he heard her humming, a sense of peace he hadn't known since Sean's death. This was not the companionship he had promised. This was something more, something deeper, something unexpected. He was falling in love with his brother's fiancée, the woman he had married out of duty. The weight of a promise. The realization hit him with the force of a physical blow. Guilt, sharp and agonizing, twisted in his gut. How could he betray Sean's memory like this? His promise was to care for her, to protect her, not to fall in love with her. He felt like he was walking on sacred ground, desecrating it with his burgeoning feelings. He tried to suppress it, to push it down, to remind himself of the circumstances of their marriage. But love, once awakened, was not easily subdued. It manifested in small, undeniable ways. The way his heart quickened when she smiled, the protective urge he felt whenever she seemed troubled, the quiet longing to simply reach out and touch her hand. He started to avoid eye contact, to distance himself slightly, hoping the feelings would recede. Eleanor noticed the subtle shift in his demeanor, the slight hesitation in his voice. She seemed to withdraw slightly again, the nascent comfort between them threatening to dissipate. One evening, a storm raged outside, the thunder rattling the windows. Eleanor, always a little nervous during storms, flinched at each clap of thunder. Liam found himself moving towards her instinctively, drawn by her vulnerability. He sat beside her on the sofa, a respectful distance between them. He offered her a cup of warm milk. She took it, her hand trembling slightly. He saw the fear in her eyes, a fear that mirrored her grief. Without thinking, he reached out and gently placed his hand over hers, a gesture of silent comfort. Her hand was cold, delicate. She didn't pull away. She looked at him, her eyes searching his, and in that gaze, he saw a flicker of something new, not just acceptance, but a nascent trust, a silent question. The thunder rumbled, but the tension in the room, the wall between them, began to crack. The silent understanding. The days following the storm, a subtle shift occurred. The unspoken tension between them lessened, replaced by a quiet intimacy. There were no grand declarations, no dramatic confessions. It was a gradual unfolding, a slow acknowledgement of the unspoken feelings that now permeated their shared space. They started going for walks in the evenings, the cool breeze a welcome presence after the day's heat. They would talk for hours, sharing their thoughts, their fears, their small joys. Liam spoke of his dreams for his architecture firm, his passion for sustainable design. Eleanor spoke of the solace she found in ancient literature, her quiet observations about human nature. Their conversations flowed easily, like a gentle river finding its course. He realized she was healing, slowly, gently. The raw edges of her grief for Sean were softening, not disappearing, but becoming a part of her, integrated into her being. And in that healing, a new space was opening, a space for shared life, for quiet affection. One morning, Liam woke up to find her in the kitchen, making his favorite breakfast, simple pancakes with fresh fruit. The aroma filled the apartment, a comforting scent that spoke of home. She looked up as he entered, and this time, her smile was unburdened, pure, and directed solely at him. It was a smile that held warmth, affection, and a glimmer of happiness he hadn't seen on her face in years. He realized he didn't feel guilty anymore. The love he felt for Eleanor wasn't a betrayal of Sean. It was a continuation of his promise, a deeper, more profound fulfillment of his brother's last wish. Sean hadn't wanted Eleanor to simply be cared for, he had wanted her to be happy. He had wanted her to find love again, even if it was with his own brother. It was a complex, beautiful truth, a testament to Sean's selfless love for both of them. A love reborn. One quiet evening, as they sat on the balcony, watching the city lights twinkle below, Eleanor spoke of Sean. Her voice was calm, tinged with a lingering sadness, but also with a quiet acceptance. She spoke of his laughter, his dreams, the joy he brought into her life. And then, she spoke of Liam. She spoke of his quiet strength, his unwavering kindness, his silent support during her darkest days. She spoke of the comfort she found in his presence, the way he had slowly, gently, brought light back into her world. She didn't use the word love, not yet. But her eyes, as they met his, held a depth of affection, a silent acknowledgement that spoke more eloquently than any words. Liam reached out, taking her hand. This time, there was no hesitation, no awkwardness. Her fingers intertwined with his, a natural, comfortable fit. He looked at her, at the woman who had walked into his life through grief and duty, and who had slowly, irrevocably, captured his heart. He saw not just Sean's fiancée, but Eleanor, the unique, resilient, beautiful woman she was. Their journey was unconventional, born from loss and a solemn promise. But from the ashes of grief, something new and unexpected had bloomed. It was a love forged in quiet understanding, built on respect, and nurtured by unspoken tenderness. It wasn't the passionate, whirlwind romance he might have imagined for himself, but it was deeper, more profound, shaped by shared sorrow and a gradual unfolding of genuine connection. The empty side of the bed was no longer empty. It was filled with the silent comfort of a shared presence, a quiet breath in the darkness, a promise fulfilled in a way no one could have predicted. Liam knew their life would always carry the shadow of Sean, a beloved memory that would always be a part of them. But now, it was also illuminated by the gentle, growing light of their own, unexpected love, a testament to the enduring power of the human heart to heal and to find new meaning, even in the most unforeseen circumstances. Their story was a quiet symphony, a testament to love's resilience, finding its rhythm in the unlikeliest of melodies.